Ciao, this is Rel Jackson. I'm a brand ambassador for Magical Pose. Magical Pose is a clothing line for men, women, and most teens. You can find them on Instagram, Magical Pose, MAGICALPOSE. You can find them online at magicalpose.com, MAGICALPOSE.com. And you can even Google search Magical Pose Apparel and find their website that way. Now, due to COVID, you may experience some shipping delays from 7 to 14 days. Be advised, all orders will be shipped within 3 to 5 days after processing. Your first email is with the confirmation and receipt. Your second email is when it's shipped with tracking information. Free shipping on all orders, $150 or more. No promo code needed. Feel free and check out their catalog. They have things ranging from women's bodycon dresses, candy painted women's twist front tanks, zipper pouch, jackets, backpacks, crop top windbreakers, t-shirts, hoodies. And if you want a discount with the Magical Pose, because you're with Rel Jackson, use discount code MPREL333. MPREL333. Thank you for shopping with Magical Pose. I hope you like what you get. Feel free, hit me back. Let me know what you think. And I will see you guys later. Bye.
Hey, Rel.
Hey, baby. This is Rel. Welcome to the back of the classroom. Today, we're going to talk about be precise in your speech. Another way of saying that is to say what you mean and mean what you say. So, let's start off by acknowledging all words mean something. You can't substitute one word for another without changing the meaning of the sentence you use, right? So, when you're organizing your thoughts and you want to articulate them, you definitely want to make sure you use the right words to express your thoughts, your feelings, what you've seen, your experiences, in order that you're making sure the people that you're speaking to understand exactly what happened. And organizing your thoughts to articulate them in a string of words is communication. So part of communicating, we spoke about listening, now it's talking. Saying things, saying what we mean what we say, and be very precise about it, right? So let's start off with some things that maybe we can all sit back and agree on. Everything as far as communication is a form of storytelling. We're explaining something, we're giving people, whether it's an analogy or either life experiences, because we're teaching. So the purpose of communicating is to get somebody else to understand something, possibly from your point of view or somebody else's point of view, and that's a story. But also that story is also narrated based on the person who's giving you those experiences. So I'm sure if you watch previous podcasts, you notice I touch on the same things, but from a different perspective. And that's also part of narrating. So if I need you to understand something based on the same context, we can attack it or pretty much speak on it from different angles or different perspectives in order to get the point across and just to have a better understanding on how all things are tied together. And the more you have a better understanding of different points of views, you can handle things and address things better. Something more toward your liking and how you'd want to have that understanding and have the people you're talking to have that understanding as well. Think about expressing your likes and dislikes. If you don't like anchovies on your pizza, but you say, I don't like this pizza, you're not precise. In fact, you're vague. How is anyone to know you don't like anchovies if you weren't precise enough to say exactly what it is you don't like? And at the same time, the things that you like. Oh, today's a beautiful day. And somebody might look and go, it's raining. But they have no idea you woke up this morning and you were no longer sick from being under the weather for 2.5 weeks. or you're just excited about being alive, or today is your birthday and you have plans on hanging out with family that you haven't seen in months. These are things that, when spoken on vaguely, no one will understand. No one can perceive to understand where you're coming from with things, because there's nothing precise about what you're saying. It's so vague. The person who wants to understand you couldn't even begin to, because they have no idea where to start. You're too vague. Think about you wanting to help somebody. If you're trying to give somebody information and you're saying, oh, put that over there are so many things in the area or the general location of where they're at. How are they supposed to know exactly what it is you're talking about by saying that? You have to be precise, because even though the context in which you speak, you might think, well, the last thing I said should be implied, but only you have that level of understanding, because that's what's going on in your mind. That's not what's going on in somebody else's mind. And remember, everybody has their own things going on in their head that they're dealing with. So while you're being vague and they're listening to you and trying to figure out what it is you're saying, the things that's going on in their life is also going on in their mind. And without you being precise enough to let them know exactly what it is you're referring to, as far as exactly what you want them to pick up, exactly what you want them to do, they might not do what you ask. And then you'll get frustrated behind it, because you believe that somebody's supposed to be able to know what you're thinking, know what you feel. So when you speak vaguely, they understand it and they get it. That is not the way of the world. That's not people in general, because believe it or not, when people talk to you, you need at times for people to be more precise than just say certain things that are just vague or without precision. So I can say, oh, I don't like what you did yesterday. Everybody got the same 24 hours in a day. How am I supposed to know exactly what it is you're referring to, especially if you was around me for part of the day and I explained to you other things that happened in the other part of the day that you wasn't around for? Am I supposed to assume you're referring to what we spoke about, or am I supposed to assume you're referring to what you actually saw? And even with both things being considered, what exactly are you referring to that I'm supposed to key in on? Because at the end of the day, if I'm going to understand you and get to the bottom of the issue, the problem, which is something that happened that you don't agree with, that you don't like, how am I supposed to fix it if I don't know exactly what it is? You have to be precise. You have to take the time to know yourself. You have to take the time to understand words. Do some research. Look at what's going on with you, how you feel. Speak to a therapist. Get the words out, right? Just keep talking and you'll figure it out as you talk. You can start with your emotions and how you feel and what it made you feel and what exactly was done. Facts are very easy. A lot of the facts are very indisputed. You can just look at things and go, yep, that's what it was. I can definitely do that. Or that's what happened. And people can fix things based on the exact specifics of things that you gave them. But if you don't speak on exactly what happened, you don't speak exactly what your feelings are, and we can't come to a desired outcome or try to avoid an undesirable outcome, what are we exactly doing? We're leaving it to random chance. Nothing goes the way we want it to based on a random chance. That's chaos. That's chaotic. There's no order and structure. It's just things that are happening. Even if you try to control it and have that controlled chaos in a certain place, you still can't control what's going on inside of it. You're just making sure you're containing it to a specific location or a general area. It's not beneficial. In fact, that kind of it's counterproductive to what it is you actually want. Your peace of mind, your life, and how you want your days to start and end, and maybe the in between process. If you ever left it to chance, that's like flying a kite. You can't control where the kite goes. You have a string and you're tugging on it and you're making sure it doesn't go too far away beyond your reach. But you don't control its elevation. You don't, I mean, unless you pull a string down and you lower it But if you let it go, it's at the mercy of the wind. That's nature taking control, right? You don't have any instrumentation to control its ability to come down except pulling on a string or letting it go higher, but you can't control the left or right. You can't avoid things because there's more involved in control than just letting nature take its course. And you also have to remember you share this planet with other people. If you're not precise enough in explaining what it is you want, what it is you feel, you're at the mercy of the world. You can't expect people, I mean, you can think it, but it's not the probability of you doing everything for everyone else. And then when you want something, everyone is going to do what you want because you did everything they wanted. That's not ideal. Most people will not return the favor just because they asked you to do something and you did it in return. It's like raising a child and saying, well, my child did everything I asked for, but then when your child wants ice cream and you say no. But the child did everything you told him. That child did what you said. That child wants ice cream and you said no. So now that child now learns I can do everything you ask. And when I ask for something, you can tell me no. So that child will then look and say, why do I have to do everything that you say? Because the feeling or it's not mutual. There is no I do what you say and you do what I say and we're going to walk through life doing what each other say because that's how life works. That's not. In fact, most parents will dictate what a child does, and when a child says what they want and not want, now it's up for debate or it's just said no, and there's little to no explanation. And then most times, most parents don't feel they need to explain. It's, well, I said what I said and that's it. Okay. But understand you're teaching a child, which that's just based on age and maturity, but that child is still an individual who has their own personality, who is now learning a way of life through you and your instructions. And at some point, that child grows up and becomes stronger. You grow older and become weaker. Now, when that child has the upper hand, how do you want that child to treat you? You want something from that child. Is that child going to be the person who still does what you say? Or do they look at it and see the shift in balance and power and go, oh, well, no, I'm not doing that. And honestly, you can't make me either, whether they no longer live with you or you're no longer in the position to bully them the way you was bullying them or controlling them the way you was controlling them because you no longer have the upper hand. If you didn't use communication to properly articulate, help them understand, give them real world scenarios and help them understand the pros and cons of things, and you taught them how to rule with an iron fist, that's exactly who they grow up to be. The person who understands the iron fist. And what you want to return from them isn't the iron fist. You want sympathy. You want to be cared for and loved, and you want compassion, and you want there to be an understanding of what you can't do for yourself and how this person can help you. And that's the person you're relying on. But you created an atmosphere to which you're now forced to deal with something you are totally unprepared for. And then you can have resentment. But where was that understanding when they were in a position where they couldn't? Did you speak properly? Did you articulate things properly? Did you teach them? Did you speak clearly and effectively and say what you mean and mean what you said? Because you're grooming that individual. Look at friends. When you have friends, your friends are those people who are there for you and who support you. But honesty comes into play. Being able to say things and give positive criticism, whether something worked or didn't work, you have that ability as a friend. And most friends will say, oh, that was a good idea. Or I don't think that was a good idea, but they're still there to support you. that didn't look too good. You could probably do this, this, and this. Even if they told you something didn't work, the energy behind it is positive. So even if they say something you don't like, remember, all information is just information, but the energy that they have behind it is going to guide you in the right direction. I can tell you, I think if you're doing music, I don't like that song. I think you can do better. I'm not trying to tear you down. I'm letting you know that there is something that I believe you can do better at. Give it another chance. Give it another try. Maybe you wasn't feeling yourself. Maybe you was a little sick. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep. Maybe you need a little bit more energy. So take 5, relax, take a breather. Right? Maybe you need to take a nap. Maybe you need to get sleep. Maybe you had things going on in your private life that's affecting your mood. And when you can come back maybe tomorrow and you can have a better outlook on life and you can feel better and the energy you bring to it can be better. So just because I don't agree with you or just because I don't see things the way you see it does not mean I am against you, or it doesn't mean I'm trying to tear you down or be negative. And just because I say something you don't want to hear doesn't make me wrong. I just have a different perspective. And remember, if I'm going to say what I mean and mean what I say, and if I'm properly looking at something and I'm articulating it to you verbally, then you have to understand the world has different perspectives based on how you look at it. A 6 and a 9, depending on how you look at it, if you rotate it, a 6 turns into a 9, 9 turns into a 6. And that's perspective. It doesn't make me wrong because you don't see it from the way I see it. Because if I have you stand in my position and then you see it, you're like, oh, okay, I see it now. So we can't be too quick to tell somebody they're wrong because we hear something we don't like. If we're around somebody and we can trust the words that they use, if we can use words that people can trust, if we can come up with a baseline and define a word, and we understand this is what this word means and we're using it properly, then we can have an understanding. And as we deliver the message and you know it's coming from a positive place, there's nothing to feel a way about. Now, part of communicating is to be truthful, be honest, articulate it, use the proper words so that the proper message get across. And the opposite of that would be lying. But another part of communication is omission. The things that aren't said. The quote unquote elephant in the room. Those things need to be spoken about. If you're having a bad day and say, hey, how you doing? If you say, oh, I'm good, but you're not good, it's an omission. You're not saying everything. You're leaving things for people to misunderstand things. If you're good, then why is that your energy? If something is all good, why are you responding the way that you're responding? If you understand, why doesn't your actions and your speech reflect that? You can't say I got it and expect somebody to go, okay, you got it, without seeing that you actually have it. I said 2 + 2 is 4 and you put 2 and you put 22. I don't think you got it, but you told me you did. But that's why I don't understand why you put 22 and you didn't put 4. But you told me you have it. So now we're at an impasse because you couldn't tell me you didn't understand, and I was left with the belief that you did. And then when we go out in life and things go wrong, now there's this level of distrust or maybe betrayal because we couldn't address that there was something you might not have understood. And I can understand how emotions can play a factor in things and people can get flustered and have anxiety. I understand that. So let's take a minute and let's relax. Take a breath. Control your breathing. Allow that emotion to pass so that you can come back into the conversation and address those issues. I once heard somebody say, if you're suffering in silence, the person who's inflicting the pain will think you don't mind. So the longer you go on feeling pain, suffering from whatever it is you're suffering from, and you do not address it, if you wanted to go back in time and go, oh, well, you did this and you did that, it's very hard for a person to believe or even remember what it is you're talking about because they were just being themselves. And you was around them long enough for them to believe you never said anything, so you had to have been all right with it. And if you was all right with it, why are you saying something now? Because you chose to omit how you really feel. You chose to omit the facts that was possibly upsetting you. And because you feel you have a high level of tolerance, you allowed yourself to omit so many different things until you reached your level of tolerance. And then you felt like you had to start mentioning things. But because you have tolerance doesn't mean leave it out. If you have pain, aches, and symptoms, and most people will say, oh, if it doesn't pass in a day, if you have a cough, you can go to the pharmacy and get a medication. Take something over the counter. And if it lasts more than a week, go to a doctor. Because what you're trying to do does not work. But if you choose not to go to the doctor, now it's 2 weeks. It could have been something very small, but letting things go unresolved, unchecked, and you're just not going to speak about it, we're going to ignore things even though it's causing us some type of discomfort, that small thing can grow into something very big and create massive problems that we very well could have solved had we addressed it, identified it, and resolved it. But allowing things to go unresolved, it creates a bigger situation. And leaving things unchecked will definitely create a type of chaos that you are ill prepared to fix. A lot of times you'll hear cancer patients and they'll go to the doctor and they were like, yeah, the doctor said it was a good thing we found it early. So they can address it when it's a smaller problem. But letting problems grow and grow because you're ignoring it, or you don't want to see a doctor, or you don't want to see a therapist, or you don't want to address things in your personal life, your workplace, or even in random places that you frequent, you're only allowing things to grow and to be bigger of an issue for you. And of course, if you're still there, they're going to say, well, if you still kept coming, why? How is it an issue? And it's very hard for you to say, oh, well, and whatever your explanation is, how does a person who's receiving it understand? I don't get it. If you really didn't like it, you should have just said something. Because some things is easier to fix when it first starts. I've been in situations where somebody go, oh, well, it was the first time. Why are you acting like it's a big deal? I personally prefer not to become a habit. If there's something I do not like, I speak on it. And I'm okay with the confrontational part because I understand people have emotions and they're entitled to it. But the same way you're entitled to your feelings, I'm entitled to mine. And if I'm going to be entitled to my feelings the way you are, I'm confident enough to engage and speak on the things that I may agree, disagree with, so that there can be an understanding amongst me and whoever it is that I'm dealing with. Because I do not want to continue to go on through anything without having an understanding of who I'm dealing with and talking to. I want you to understand me, and I want to understand you. And we don't have to agree on anything, but there's a respect. I can understand what it is you're saying, what you want to do. I can give you my idea, opinion, and facts on it, and you can do what you want to do. You're an individual. And if somebody asks, well, why is this person doing this, this, and this? Guess what? I can explain it. Whether I agree or not, I can still say, well, this person is doing X, Y, and Z for reasons A, B, and Z. And they'll be like, oh, wow, what happened to C? That's them being different. That's what they want to do. Oh, well, that doesn't make sense. Listen, if that's what they want to do, all we can do is give people information. Whether they agree with it or not, that's up to them to accept it, figure it out, and determine what they want to do. You have to allow people to explore, just like scientists and mathematicians who go through problems and trying to figure it out. You have to allow people to go through their own process. I don't want to change anybody. I want people to explore life and see things for the way that they are. But I feel it's my responsibility to share information and make sure everybody has the best information possible so they can make the best choices possible. So I don't want to leave things hidden or unsaid and unspoken of because it might hurt somebody's feelings or they might not like it. I get it. But keep in mind, I'm not telling you what to do because I want to control you. I'm giving you ideas and information so you can decide what you want to do and how you want to go about it. I don't control anybody. I don't control you. I don't control my parents. I don't control my brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. I just share information. And whatever they want to do based on the condition of their heart and the way that they do things, they're entitled to do whatever they want to do, because everybody also have to take accountability for their own actions. I'm not taking accountability for anyone's actions because I'm not the one who did it. If I was with you and I did something, hold me accountable for what I did. I will take ownership exactly for what I did. And if you ask me why I did it, I'll tell you. Now, whether you like the answer or not, you still have to understand that's me. That's who I am. That's my perspective. If you did something I didn't like, whether you ask my opinion or not, I'm going to let you know. Why? Because I'm in your company. I'm in your presence. Or a situation that happened is involving me and I need to speak on it. Me not saying anything shows a level of compliance. When you're in school and a teacher goes, anyone have any questions? If you have a question, you don't say anything, how are you going to get the answer? So the teacher is left to assume, oh, you get it. You understand because you did not raise your hand. If you go to your doctor and you don't tell your doctor if there's any pain, issues, fatigue, how's the doctor going to help you? He has to assume, because he's seen nothing. He didn't run any tests because you didn't say there was anything wrong, for him to figure it out to give you a solution to your problem. He can't help you if you don't tell him what's wrong. So if there's an issue, speak on it. If there's something you feel, you speak on it. Now, everything can't be negative, because we don't want to create a negative energy and camaraderie with people. We want it to be positive. So don't think because you do this every day, you're supposed to, and it's just expected. Cut that out. We can't be living life with expectations and holding people to expectations. Let's tell people what it is that we want, so we can reward them when they do something good, and tell them what we don't like, so we can either determine if we can fix it, or I have to remove myself from the situation a little bit so I'm not inconvenienced. Because at the end of the day, everybody can make their choices and do what they want. So how do you feel about something? What is it that you would like? Express your thoughts and your feelings. Because at the end of the day, I can be wrong and I can learn from you. I don't know everything. This is the back of the classroom. Everybody has a voice. Everybody can speak on whatever they want to speak on and say what they want to say. And specifically me, I'm listening. I'll have the conversation, but we can't attack one another because it's only information. I'm entitled to my feelings and thought process, and so are you. But if we're going to share information, then it has to be in a civilized way. Can't be yelling at anyone. What are we yelling for? You're not controlling me. And even if you had a child, what are you yelling at them for? You're upset. You're feeling away. Those are your emotions. So because you feel away, you're going to take that out on a child. You're a bully. You're not a teacher. You're not a mentor. You're so emotional, you can't handle a situation the way you need to handle it, which is respectfully, because this is what you're raising a child to do. Think about it. You beat your child because they weren't listening. So imagine I was a child that was beat as a kid. And the understanding was, you don't listen, bap, you get a whooping. All right. So now when I go outside and then somebody does something and I'm like, yo, stop doing that, I'm not in the mood. And they keep doing it. I say, stop doing that, I'm not in the mood. And they do it anyway. I learned 2-strike rule and boop, you get popped. So now if I do that outside, now it's a fight. All right, we can fight. But why did I do that? Because I was taught, if there's something that I don't like or that they don't like and I continue to do it, it is okay to put hands on somebody. Where was the conversation? Where was the understanding? Where was the go in your room and think about what you did and understand how that is an issue? We feel that way about people in authority who is supposed to enforce peace. And we say they shouldn't do that. They have an authority, they're abusing their power. So how about we take that and reflect that on everybody who's in authority? You don't want no teacher touching your child. You don't want the law touching your child. You don't want anybody in the street touching your child, but you feel entitled enough to think you can put hands on your child. Do you not know there is an actual division of law enforcement that will take your child from you if you do the things of that nature? And you might think, oh, well, let them. No, because they'll remove that, but then that's also a strike on you. Now you're in the legal system and you're now figuring out, well, maybe that wasn't the best choice. But you was taught that, so maybe it's not your fault. But here's the conversation. Everything can be resolved with words. Take the time and explain it. Take the time and sit them down and hear what they have to say. Listen. And then you communicate. Say what you mean what you say. Be precise with your words. Don't omit anything, because unresolved issues become bigger issues that grow out of control and then become chaotic. You don't want chaos, because chaos tends to be some things most people can't control. When things are small and easily fixed, because you can identify an issue right there and then, that's easy to fix. How hard is it to listen to somebody and understand they have a point of view? There's something that they like and prefer. And then we can come up with a way where we can negotiate how we can get those things done. Because there are things I need from you. I would love for you guys to hear this out to the bitter end. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, make it a conversation, leave feedback in the comments. Can't make you do it. I would prefer it. So I keep coming up with content, and hopefully if this isn't for you, it's for somebody else. If this isn't something you can tell somebody, share it with them and let them listen to it and just ask for their feedback on what they think about it. And then you can have the conversation, because maybe I said it all for you. So again, if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Rel's Locker is still open. We got great products. If there's anything that you like, anything that you purchase, is definitely supporting this platform and channel. I thank you. I appreciate you. Have a good one.